Hi, welcome to the World on the Move podcast. Today is June 18th, and I'm Rosie Francis, and with me I have.
My name is Evelyn Lee.
Hi, nice to meet you,
Hi,
Evelyn.
it's a pleasure.
Yeah, so today our conversation is going to be about Evelyn's experiences here in the United States, and most especially about Evelyn's parents who emigrated here from Cambodia.
Yes, yeah. So they are Chinese Cambodian. We're Chinese by ethnicity, but they lived in Cambodia for quite a while. They lived through the Khmer Rouge regime. Yes. In 1979, after the downfall of Pol Pot, they were moved from Cambodia actually to a Vietnamese refugee camp where they lived for 10 years. And then they had the chance to immigrate to the United States. And they came over in 1989 and have been here ever since.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How young were they? And were they already married when they were moved to the camp?
Yes, good question. They were in their early 30s.
Okay.
When the Khmer Rouge started, I think the official date would be the fall of Phnom Penh, April 17th, I believe, 1975. And the Pol Pot regime lasted 4 years.
Right.
In 1979, my parents were in their 20s, or early 20s, I think, 20 and 21.
Okay.
And they met actually in the Vietnamese refugee camp.
Wow.
And they were married there, and they actually had my older brother there. I have an older
Okay.
brother, he's 6 years older than me, and he was 2 when they came to America.
Wow.
Yes, they were early 30s, I believe, when they came over to the United States.
Yeah. So just when professionally they were getting started
Yeah.
with their family, all those critical things were happening at that time.
Absolutely.
So that must have been a huge interruption for them.
I think that they would say that life was never normal for them. My mom does say that she loved, in her childhood before the 70s, so that would have put her in the preteen era. She loved hanging out with her family, loved helping them run their noodle shop, which is what they did. Since they were teenagers, they had lived through a genocide, and then they spent time in a refugee camp, and then they came to a new country, and so I would argue that they may tell you that things have never been normal for them until recently in the last couple decades.
Right. So, with all of these things that were happening in their lives, did they share with you what was the hardest thing for them moving to a new home, moving to a new life?
Yes, and this is something that I grew up hearing about at the kitchen table, that they found English and still find English, the language, learning it and continuing to improve on it, really difficult. They were really lucky when they were younger. They were able to have some amount of education. And back then, Cambodia actually required them to learn a second language. Some people picked French, some people picked English. And so my parents had some background in English before they came to the US. But when they got here, they found that understanding it, listening to it, and hearing people and understanding it was really difficult. They understood the basic things like sentence structure, the grammatical things that they teach in textbooks, but
Right.
they found that people spoke faster here. They used slang and words they didn't really understand. And so they were very intimidated by meeting people here, getting their first jobs here, things like that. They do say that they did things like watch TV shows to help them learn their English. My mom credits Wheel of Fortune with quite a bit of her with her English. My brother and I were really young at the time, so they watched Wishbone with us and Power Rangers and things like that. But English was, and I think sometimes continues to be, as a difficult subject for them.
Yeah. Yeah, besides the language barrier, I'm guessing they were just getting started professionally before they had to move.
Yeah.
Was it an easy transfer for them from Cambodia to here? Did they have to retrain, find new jobs? How did that happen?
Yeah, good question. So, given that, they went through the war really at their prime, I guess, school years, um, they had some amount of education, but really were never formally educated. And it wasn't until they came here that they got their GEDs, did some community college classes. When they were younger, my mom's family ran a noodle manufacturing shop. And so people in the neighborhood would come order noodles and they would, make them and distribute them by the pound. And my dad's family did a shoe cobbling kind of repair
Oh.
shop. And so those are two trades and businesses that would be really difficult to upstart here in America. And so when they got here, it was completely different. I think my mom said she went to her first job interview the first day she got here,
Wow.
and it was for a cashier at an Asian supermarket.
Right.
My dad started at a 7-Eleven. And they did jobs like that for a while. Clerks, cashiers, waitresses, cooks, things like that. Finally, my dad was lucky enough to land a job at the post office, and he actually just retired 6 months ago after spending his entire career in America with the post office.
Wow.
So he's very thankful for that. And my mom has been in manufacturing for a really long time.
Okay.
So a lot of blue collar work, but they were lucky enough to find something that was relatively comfortable for them without higher education.
Yeah, that is, with language being a barrier, finding your feet quickly can be such a struggle in a new place. So, besides all of this, I know it couldn't have been an easy choice to, uproot yourself like that and come here. What were their experiences like?
Absolutely. So, during this time of really bad political unrest in the 60s, 70s, in the Indochina region, we were lucky that there was a program put in place by the United Nations. It was called the High Commission for Refugees, I believe. And they put into place a program called the Orderly Departure Program, specifically for Vietnamese immigrants, and I think people in the Laos, Cambodia, Vietnam region, to exit their countries where there was not economic prosperity to other countries where they could flourish better.
Right.
My parents say that they have always heard about how incredible America was. I asked them, why not France? Why not Canada? Why not Australia? Because all of those countries were a part of this, this orderly departure program. And they said, well, we'd always heard America was the best. America had the most opportunities, and that's where we wanted to go. And if given the chance, that is where we would pick to go. And so when it came time for them to apply for the Orderly Departure Program, that is what they picked. And luckily, we already had some family here who could help sponsor them. And so they got here as quick as they could because of the opportunities that America is so famous for.
Yeah. We are, for sure. So this is a question that's not on our list, but our conversation is making me think of this. So there was your parents, they were going through the day-to-day. How was it for you watching them go through this? And also, there were two perspectives, right? What your brother was experiencing might have been something that is similar to them, but at the same time different because, he was such a young child when he came here. So his experiences might have been different. So how was it to watch your parents try to make sense of life here?
Absolutely. So a couple things. One story I want to tell is my parents' first winter here. So, because they lived in southwest, in the southern Indochina region, very hot not a lot of snow, some would argue. And when they got here in the fall of 1989, it was the first time they had ever been in a cooler climate. They went to Dallas specifically, and they still live there today. And they said that it snowed that first winter, and it was the first time they'd ever seen snow, in their 30s, right? My brother was 2 at the time, and my mom tells this story where they were walking a block away to a family member who could help take care of my brother. And it was snowing, and my mom said that my brother, as a kid, wanted for nothing. He never complained, never cried, never asked for anything. Super easy kid. But as they were walking that morning in the snow, my brother looked up at her and said, "Mommy, it's cold. Will you hold me?" And she hadn't scooped him up it was so quick. She scooped him right up because she just never heard that, know.
Yeah.
And so, there were things like they didn't have clothes for the winter. They relied on their family and their friends to donate clothing to them that first winter. My mom talks about a sweater that she still has from 30 years ago. So they also talk about how regarding English and the language, they made the conscious decision to continue to speak Cantonese at home with my brother and I to make sure that we would have the exposure and be able to learn that language ourselves. But in doing so, they kind of sacrificed some of their own abilities to improve in their English because they tried so hard to use Cantonese at home with us. They weren't really able to improve on their English, and they left us to learn English, at school, which we did. And I'm forever grateful because now we speak Cantonese at home with my parents, but they'll still say I sacrificed English for you, Growing up, though, it was interesting because I am the only American born in my immediate family, and I don't want to call it survivor's guilt, but there is some amount of familial obligation, I think, that you feel when you know what your family left behind, what they went through, what they came here for. And my parents are very proud of me now. We are so close. We love each other dearly. And I still feel like I have to work every day to make them proud just because of everything that they've gone through. But yeah, just watching them struggle at work, my mom would complain how she would get bullied at work because her language wasn't that great. And, my dad would say that people at work don't understand him. And my brother had to go through English as a second language classes, and I never had to do any of that because I was lucky. So and we also grew up listening to stories about the genocide around the kitchen table. So, I'd be, 6 at the dinner table not wanting to eat my broccoli, and my mom would be like, "Oh, when we were your age, we were at war and didn't have any food," and you would eat that broccoli so fast. So, I'm definitely I think the luckiest of all of my immediate family members, and there's a little bit of guilt, a little bit of pride, a lot of pride, I would say, and a lot of motivation for everything that I've done so far in life.
Yeah. Did you ever have to stand in and to interpret for or to be that? Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So many times. Yes. Back when I would say probably 2 decades ago, 15 years ago, so when my parents still were not as confident with their English, phone calls to credit card companies if they needed something, banks if they needed something and something went wrong and they needed to call somebody or go talk to customer service, they would ask me or my brother to come stand in for them and talk for them. And, we were kids at the time. I was, 15 or so. My brother was a little older. But yeah, we would have to definitely stand in for them. My dad went through some stuff with the post office at one point and wanted to write to the state congressman for help. And I distinctly remember I was like a freshman in high school, and he had me proofread the letter that he was going to write, and there were a lot of edits that needed to be made. But yeah, there was a lot of interpretation, a lot of grammatical fixing, things like that went on. And even now, I think when I am with them out in a public place, they will try to defer to me, I think just out of comfort. But I'm so proud of how far they've come. They can definitely handle themselves, and they've gotten this far. So yeah, but there was a time.
Yeah.
There was a time.
So I know now, looking back, you said you feel intense pride for all of the their accomplishments. As a teen, though, it couldn't have been easy. Were there times when you felt like, why have I been dealt this hand? Why is it me? Why do I have to? Was there any resentment or feelings of, you know, feelings of difficulty in what you were being forced to do?
Yes, what a profound question. Because it is so true that as teenagers, we all kind of feel like an other, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whether you are from here or not,
Right.
No matter your skin color, no matter your creed, no matter whatever. As a teenager, you just naturally feel like an other. The way that I was raised was the only way that my parents knew how to raise me, which was you stick close to family. There's no such thing as a sleepover with friends. No, we don't go to summer camp. It's too expensive, and we don't know where you are half the time. Things like that, right? And so, growing up, I didn't get to do the cool, fun American things. I didn't get to do the sleepovers. We didn't do camps. I couldn't join the dance team because my mom thought the uniforms were too short, things like that were just very cultural. And there was a part of me as a teenager that felt robbed of those experiences, for sure. My mom never got a prom. And so when it came time for me to buy my prom dress, looking back on it now, I do see there was, some amount of almost jealousy, right? Like my daughter gets to wear this beautiful dress to prom, and she never really got like a proper wedding or a proper wedding dress or a proper prom dress.
Right.
So it's, I'm sure it was hard for them also to see us being able to live all these incredible, privileged experiences that they never got, even though they did come here for us to live a better life.
But we are humans, right?
We are so human.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I felt so resentful, like you said, that I didn't get some of these really cool experiences that some of my friends did.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But I can see that it takes a while, doesn't it, for us to grow into, true understanding of where our elders are and what they did for us. So I'm glad you are on the other side, because I'm sure that that journey has not been easy either.
No, and the journey still continues, to be honest.
For sure.
Yeah, I mean, there were some formative years there where, my relationship with my parents was not great, precisely because of those reasons. And it took really until like after college where I finally felt like I could hang out with my parents as an adult.
Right.
It took me moving to Houston from Dallas.
Right.
It took me not being next door. It took time and distance in order to grow and learn from those experiences. And there are still, if you get me and my mom in a room for like 3 days, by the third day, we will start making quips at each other. And I will still bring up things like, Howard, my brother, got piano lessons and I never did, and you never let me join dance team. So, those little things still crop up because the 15-year-old in me holds on to them.
Yes.
But it has definitely been a learning experience and one I'm really thankful for. And there are things that I will never understand. One, because I'm not a parent yet, or if ever, who knows. But also because I myself was never, an immigrant from another country.
Right.
And so there are things that I just will never be able to decode.
Yeah, you were never an immigrant, but I think you still straddle multiple cultures. I'm not going to say two cultures because there's no one American culture. There's multiple American cultures. And there is, multiple Cambodian cultures too. So what are your family's hopes for you as you straddle these cultures? What is your hope for yourself and for your family?
Yeah. When I talk to my parents about what they want for me going forward, first my dad was like, I just want you to get a good job. And I said, look, father, I have a master's, I'm already working a great job. Next. And my mom and he both agreed that really what they want is just for us to be healthy and happy. My mom so wishes I would move back to Dallas. She so wishes I would move next door to them. I don't think that exactly will ever happen.
Yeah.
She just wants to cook for me and take care of grandkids and things
Yeah.
like that. But ultimately, she wants us to be happy and healthy in ways that they never were able to be.
Yeah.
Now that we've been afforded all these opportunities, they say all the time that they never thought that they would have a house in the suburbs in the United States.
Right.
They never thought that they would retire with money in a savings account. And they talk all the time about just how lucky they were. My mom uses that word a lot, that they were lucky. Oh, how lucky we are. I don't think that their circumstances are a result of luck. I think their circumstances are a result of who they are as people, how hard they've worked, and how resilient they've been. But really, ultimately, they just want to make sure that that resiliency goes towards our family being loving with each other, close with one another, emotionally, if not physically,
Right.
and just happy and healthy.
Yeah. What is your hope for your parents?
Oh gosh, I hope that now that they're in their sunset years, starting to retire, that they learn to enjoy. I think that having grown up with such a scarcity mindset and spending so long just kind of struggling for just survival, they forget how far they've come and how much they've worked and how much they have now. And I hope that they are able to really just sit back and bask in the things that they have, the love that they have from the people that are around them. And I hope they're able to use that to travel the world and see the incredible things that they didn't have the chance to see when they were younger, and really just finally relax and enjoy in ways that they were never able to.
Yeah. That's beautiful.
Oh.
I hope they get to do that. I hope
too.
all of you get to do that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. So this has been the World on the Move podcast. Thanks so much for listening to us. Tune back again for other episodes, and goodbye.